Hello! I saw Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald yesterday. It really was something. I guess before I go and spoil the whole film, I'll give you the quick, non-spoiler recommendation or whatever. The movie is a big mess. There are like 20 different plot lines. None of them are related, and none of them matter. If you enjoyed all the fantastic beasts from the first movie that are in the title of the movie is called Fantastic Beasts. There's like 2 of them in the film. You don't get to see a whole lot of Fantastic Beasts, which is a shame because that was the one thing I liked from the first film. It drops all the good stuff from the first film and introduces just a way too convoluted plot, a bunch of characters who don't matter, but the movie wants you to think they matter, but they all get about 5 minutes of screen time and then disappear. None of the million plot lines actually connect together, so you barely see the characters that you like interact. They might get like one scene together. The film also frequently just forgets which characters are in the scene or who's meant to be where. It's very hard to recommend this to anyone unless they're like so into Harry Potter that they'll just see anything related to it, because there's some connections to the Harry Potter thing. If you want to see young Dumbledore, if you want to see Grindelwalds, I guess go see the film. And the performances are pretty okay. I like Eddie Redmayne as Newt a lot, and I think Jude Law makes a pretty good young Dumbledore, although he has nothing to do for the entire film. Same with Grindelwald. Johnny Depp is fine. I kind of hate seeing him in films with all the domestic abuse allegations that came out about him, but his performance is fine. Don't go support his career, because he's not a great dude. Spoilers from here on in. I'm gonna talk about the whole film, or as much of it as I can remember, because the whole thing is nonsense. Okay, so I only saw the first Fantastic Beasts movie one time. I enjoyed it, a bit. I really enjoy Eddie Redmayne as Newt. I think he's just a really great character. It's interesting seeing this very empathetic character who's also quite introverted, and he's given a really good performance. I think Eddie Redmayne's just great in everything though, and I really like him. I think some of the comedy with his friend Jacob is good, and I liked it when he was running around the city getting all his magic animals back, because they were the best bit. I really like all the Fantastic Beasts, because that's the name of the film. It comes to the crimes of Grindelwald, and there are no Fantastic Beasts. You get 5 minutes where they go around the big zoo he's got, where he keeps all his Fantastic Beasts. It's look, all these great things, they're not in the rest of the film. The movie has so many problems that I'm finding it hard to choose what to talk about. So I'm going to try focus on one thing at a time. Let's talk about how many characters there are. I've pulled up the Wikipedia page. Let's go through all the characters. Newt Scamander, he's the main guy. Tina Goldstein, Jacob, Queenie, Credence, Lita Lestrange, Theseus Scamander, he's Newt's brother. Nagini, she's a snake. Yusuf Karma, he's a new character who is here for no reason. Abernathy, apparently he was in the first film and I just completely forgot he existed. He gets his tongue cut out 5 minutes into this film and is just kind of there and he doesn't say anything. It's great. Dumbledore is here. Grindelwald is here. Nicholas Flamel is in this movie. He doesn't do anything. Young McGonagall is in the film, despite the fact that this takes place in the 20s. Grindelwald's friend, Nasty Aura. We just get told is nasty, and then he disappears from the film. Man who runs the circus. Other Grindelwald henchman who does nothing and dies. Bunty, Newt's assistant, appears at the start of the movie. They make it very clear that she has a crush on Newt, and then she disappears for the rest of the film. There's a million more other characters, but it's just there's so many characters, and you gotta keep track of what they're all trying to do, and they're all involved in different like stories, and the stories don't link together. So let's talk about what Newt wants to do in the film. At the start of the film, he goes to the Ministry of Magic, and they're saying, we've revoked your travel pass or whatever, you can't travel internationally anymore because of the events of the first film. Like, he blew up half of New York or whatever. So he's not allowed to travel about anymore. And they're saying, we can let you travel if you go with your brother to get Credence, who's the character from the first film, who we thought was dead, but is not actually dead. You have to go get him because Grindelwald is looking for him. And Grindelwald escaped from magic prison before the titles came up. So that was like the start of the movie. Then we got Newt doing this. Newt then sees that there is a nasty man here who we don't know as the audience. Like tense music starts playing when they show him, and Newt goes, "Ooh, it's a nasty man." So we know he's a nasty man, and he leaves because he don't want to work with a nasty man. And then he goes home. So Newt does not want to get involved in the plot. Jacob and Goldie from the first film have come over from New York, and they come to visit Newt. Goldie and Jacob have an argument because she has like enchanted him with like a love enchantment, and when Newt is like uncomfortable with this, because yeah, you should be, and he undoes the enchantment, they have a big argument because Goldie wants to get married and Jacob doesn't, because if they get married and people find out that they've got married, they'll be killed, which seems fairly reasonable. She gets mad and goes to France because that's where Tina is, and so Newt and Jacob have to go to France to find them, I guess. And France is where Newt was meant to be going anyway. He meets Dumbledore at some point. I think that might have already happened. He talks to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's like, you gotta go find Credence. And Newt is like, I already told the Ministry that I'm not gonna go find Credence. And Dumbledore's like, yeah, but it's me, your pal Dumbledore. You gotta go find Credence. And Newt says that he won't do it. Credence is in France, and it's also who Tina is looking for, and that's the reason that she's in France. Newt and Jacob go to a dodgy man who will smuggle them into France through a bucket, because like, yeah, portkeys or whatever. Harry Potter stuff. It does seem a bit weird. He gets his travel thing taken away, and then he's just like, I'll go to France anyway, I can just do that. Using a dodgy bucket man is exactly the kind of thing that Newt Scamander would do. So they go to France, and they're looking for Tina, and they're looking for Goldie, and they're assuming they'll be together because Goldie went to find Tina. They do some like detective work, and they find out about the circus that has been here, and they find a feather which came out of a man's hat, and they use the feather to find that man who knows where Tina is, because that man is also looking for Credence. That man locked Tina in a sewer, and then he locks Newt and Jacob in the sewer as well, and then he like falls unconscious, and then they go to Nicholas Flamel's house. You know Nicholas Flamel? He made the Philosopher's Stone. He's in the movie just because he's got a French name and the movie's in France. We've got to put Nicholas Flamel in. People will know who he is. There's a really good shot in the film where he gets a book, and they do a really obvious, like, direct look at the Philosopher's Stone. Like, that's the Philosopher's Stone. That was back when these movies were fun. So they go to his house, and then Tina needs to go to the French Ministry of Magic with Newt to find something that is evidence of who Credence is. Everyone's looking for Credence, but at a certain point in the film, they stop looking for Credence and they just look for evidence of like who Credence's actual parents are. I can't even like coherently explain the plot. I've been talking about the plot for like 5 minutes, and every time I get to like the next thing that I need to explain, I have to like go back 5 steps and explain all the other stuff that's happened, because the whole movie's just rubbish. Basically, Newt spends the whole film not doing anything, and it's so annoying. Nothing happens in the entire film. Basically, the movie starts, and they're like, Newt, you gotta go find Credence, because Grindelwald's gonna get him. And Newt's like, I don't do taking sides. The bad guy is literally magic Hitler, and you're not gonna take a side. Yeah, nice one. The whole film is just leading up to, like, when they get all the characters in one place, and then they split them into 2 teams. And that's the whole film. None of it matters. Let's talk about Jacob and Goldie. The whole plot with these two just makes me incredibly uncomfortable. This is an abusive relationship. There's a clear, like, power difference between the two of them, and that wouldn't, like, be a problem if they treated each other equally, but they don't. Like, Goldie so clearly sees herself as superior to Jacob. Like, she'll put a love spell on him because she thinks that that's an okay thing to do, and she, like, reads his mind without asking, and it's just an incredibly uncomfortable thing because she's supposed to be, like, one of the good guys. Like, she's one of the fun main characters from the first film, and now she's doing all this stuff, and it's horrible. And then she meets the bad guys and, like, goes to their bad guy meeting. Jacob finds out where they are. He goes and finds her, and she's like, oh, I'm really glad to see you. And he's like, yeah, let's get out of here. We're in, like, an actual Nazi rally. And she's like, oh no, let's just stay and hear what he has to say. Like, not so sure about that one, pal. And then there's, like, a big bit at the end, and Johnny Depp's setting everyone on fire, and, like, she goes and joins the bad guys. And then at the very end, like, she's, like, very comfortable talking to this horrible man. Like, they're just living in a big castle in Austria or something. She's just having a chat with him about Credence and what they're going to do about it. She was one of the good guys in the first film. It's such a massive departure from the first movie. It's just, like, baffling. Like, why did they do this? They're making, like, 5 of these movies. Why? One of my, like, big questions is, why is this a Fantastic Beasts movie? Like, I enjoyed the first Fantastic Beasts movie, like, enough. Like, I saw it once, it was okay. I probably won't watch it again, unless I decide to put myself through Fantastic Beasts 3. But, like, that movie was fine. It was a fun, like, light-hearted adventure. Eddie Redmayne's going around, he's getting all these magic animals. But why is this movie a sequel to that movie? It has nothing in common with it. The characters from the first movie don't really matter in this movie. We focus on Newt a lot, but what Newt wants to do in this movie is find Tina and, like, kind of tell her how he feels. What Jacob and Goldie want to do is resolve their relationship problems and find a way to be together in a world that doesn't let magic and non-magic users be together. And Credence wants to find out his real family. So he doesn't know where he's from. He got adopted by the nasty lady in the first film, and he doesn't know where he's from. He wants to find out, like, where he's from. None of those characters have anything to do with Grindelwald. It feels like they wanted to just use something that tied it to the Harry Potter films. Like, how do we make people actually care about this movie? We'll bring in some characters that were in the past in the Harry Potter films. We'll bring in Dumbledore, we'll bring in Grindelwald. They have a complicated relationship that we can explore. Let's do that in the film. And it has nothing to do with Fantastic Beasts 1. And it's so annoying! Why didn't they just make a Grindelwald movie? It's Dumbledore and it's Grindelwald, and they're ex-boyfriends and they're mad at each other. One of them's Hitler. Why didn't they just make it a separate thing? Why did they tie it to the nice, light-hearted man who loves animals movie? It's so stupid. There's like barely any Fantastic Beasts in this film. There's the cute Niffler from the first film. There is a big lion which like saves them at one point. And there's a bunch of like little weird cats. Oh, I guess there's like the little stork man that lives in his pocket as well. But it's just like, they were fun in the first film, and now they're here, and it's all miserable. Don't go see this movie. Maybe when all 5 Fantastic Beasts movies are out, it'll make sense and it'll be worth it. But it's just nonsense. This is like a middle movie. But if there are 5 movies, we're gonna have 2 more movies that feel like the middle movie, and they're all gonna be awful. If they keep setting stuff like this up, the entire 5th film is just gonna be resolving plot lines for characters that we don't care about. I've been ranting about this movie for like half an hour now. I've not even touched on like some of the really good bits. And by really good bits, I mean the really nonsense bits. Okay, so there is the nasty man who puts Newt off from joining the Ministry. He's a nasty man, and you don't know anything about him, but bad music plays when he's on the screen. He looks very smug, and everyone has a very bad reaction to him. He's here to kill Credence. He turns up where Credence is, kills Credence's one link to his actual family, and then talks to Grindelwald and disappears from the movie. What was the point? He's literally here to kill that lady. That lady was not even important. She barely does anything either. Newt's assistant, who they introduce, is helping him look after all his animals. She's got a bit of a crush on Newt. She's not going to be in the rest of the film. She just disappears. Nagini, who we're all freaking out about when she was in the trailer, because it was so dumb. She doesn't do anything for the entire movie. She is just there. If there's a scene that Credence is in, she is also there, and she doesn't do anything. At the start of the film, they've got like something going on. They're going to escape from the circus. They escape from the circus. Then they sit around and be miserable for the whole movie. There's a really good bit later on in the film. So everyone wants to know who Credence is, and everyone thinks that he is Corvus Lestrange, who is Lita Lestrange's sister, who is like, and there's like a big scene where they like reveal who it is. They all meet up at like the Lestrange cemetery. They've got their own big cemetery. We've got Newt, we've got Tina, we've got Lita Lestrange, we've got Yusuf, who's kind of a nasty man. I mean, not massively. And then we've got Credence and Nagini are also there. Don't worry, they don't say anything for the entire scene. And Credence is looking for who he is. He is told that he'll get some answers if he goes here. Yusuf wants to kill Credence because if he is a Lestrange, his mother got Imperius cursed by a Lestrange, which made him leave her father and go marry this Lestrange man, which means that she is the mother of Lita Lestrange and Corvus Lestrange. And he is mad about that, so he wants to kill Corvus Lestrange because he is the thing that nasty Mr. Lestrange loves the most. And he's got like an unbreakable vow to do it, which means he has to do it. And they're all having this big face-off, and he's gonna kill Credence, who's actually Corvus. And then Lita Lestrange is like, that's not actually Corvus, because I killed Corvus on a boat. I switched him with another baby, so this other baby is actually Credence. And Corvus died in the sea. So Yusuf now doesn't have to kill Credence because he's the wrong baby. So Credence is actually just this other random baby that was on the boat. And then that scene is just like kind of over, and the wall opens up behind them, and Jacob is stood next to the wall. And Jacob was not in this scene, and we didn't see him at any point during the scene. We knew he was going to the cemetery, but we got told that by like 20 minutes ago. And he was just stood in the corner the whole time, and I was just losing it. Like, we've got this whole nonsense dramatic scene going on. It ends, like, fine. You've resolved the whole thing. We know that Credence is just a random baby that they found on a boat. I'll get to who he actually is in a bit. This video is going to be really long. And the wall opens, and Jacob is there. It makes no sense. So, Credence, at the end of the film, is revealed to be Aurelius Dumbledore. So from the Harry Potter films, we know that there is Albus, we know that there is Abernathy, and we know that there is a sister as well, but the sister died. There's like a secret fourth Dumbledore, or he's like some distant relation or something. But if he is, why was he just a random baby on a boat? Wouldn't he have magic parents or something? And his magic parents wouldn't have just like sank in a boat? Like, can't you do some boat magic or something? So they tell us that the Corvus is the thing that the Lestrange dad loves the most. If that is the case, why were they all going to New York? Why did they put the baby that should have been Corvus up for adoption in New York? The movie explains itself, and then it just makes more questions that don't make sense. What other nonsense happened in this film? That Yusuf guy, who has no purpose other than to like point them to where Tina is and then force some conflict. He has like a parasite living inside him that's like in his eye, and it's really gross. And then Newt goes, "Oh, we can get that out with some tweezers." Like, this guy is like acting like he's gonna die for the whole film, and then it's just like, just go to a wizard doctor, mate. They'll just like yank that thing out. It's gross, but they'll do it. There's so many characters. Dumbledore doesn't do anything in this film. Leta Lestrange doesn't do anything. She turns up like very early in the movie at the Ministry of Magic, and she's talking to Newt, and we're getting like the Newt perspective. Like, we're seeing through his eyes, and we're looking at her, and it's like, oh, she's a nice lady. And it's like, yeah, there's like something going on between them. He's refusing to go to lunch with her and his brother, and they're getting married. That's a bit weird. I feel like the relationship between him and his brother is actually one of the better parts of the movie. I actually quite enjoy that. But whatever. She then doesn't turn up until she goes with a bunch of auras to Hogwarts, where they threaten Dumbledore for no reason. It's basically just to give us some backstory. They show us like a thing, and it's like Dumbledore and Grindelwald hanging out as kids, and they're like, you need to do something about Grindelwald. You're the powerful wizard. And he's like, I can't do anything about Grindelwald. And they're like, is it because of this? And they show him some like just like wizard footage of the two of them like talking, and he's like, yep, I can't do anything about Grindelwald. And they're all like, well, okay, we're off now. But Leta turns up there, and then we get like a 5-minute long flashback of her and Newt as kids, and it's like, yep, they were friends when they were kids because they were both kind of outcasts. Great. And then she doesn't turn up forever, but we're constantly talking about her, and then at the end of the movie, Grindelwald just incinerates her. Great. Thanks, movie. It's just so hard to care when the movie doesn't do anything to make me care. I'm gonna stop talking about the film now, because it's just making me mad, and I can't even remember half the stuff that happened. I bet there's like 50 nonsense plots that I've not even mentioned. Did I talk about the way that Grindelwald calls all his followers by just covering Paris in like big black sheets? Thanks, Grindelwald. What a good idea. That's really inconspicuous. Stop anyone getting into their home, you numpty. My final review of this movie: it's bad. Nothing happens, and it doesn't make sense. The thing that really annoys me is that she wrote the script for this film, and there's like a quote from David Yates, who's the director, and he says, she's got some ideas for the third film. If they don't know where this is going, it's gonna be terrible. Like, it's actually just gonna be awful. You've done all this nonsense in this film, and I could kind of understand it if you knew where it was going in the third one. She's got some ideas for the third film. What? I'm gonna need you to know exactly what you're doing here, J.K. Rowling. You're just doing nothing for no reason. I mean, the one thing I can say about the film is Grindelwald does do some crimes. The end. Like and subscribe, I don't care. I'm so mad at this film. I'll put links to everything on the screen. You can work it out yourself. I can't be bothered. Bye.